Hello, Fall River and Danvers. Welcome to Senior Solutions. I'm Karen Halloran, and thanks for tuning in today. Today I have Mike Kennedy as our guest, and he is an expert on reverse mortgages. He's from East Coast Capital Corporation. Thank you for joining us today, Mike.
Thank you for having me.
So why don't you just jump right in and tell us what a reverse mortgage is?
Certainly. A reverse mortgage is simply a home equity loan that the customer never makes payments on. Now, the first thing, that usually sounds too good to be true, but it's a government-sponsored, government-insured program designed specifically to help senior citizen homeowners over age 62, access some of the equity that they built up in their homes that can be used for absolutely any purpose whatsoever, no restrictions, and it comes to them tax-free because it's not income, it's their own money coming back to them.
Wow, that's fantastic. I don't think a lot of people know about that. Who would be eligible for a reverse mortgage?
Any homeowner over age 62, and when I meet with someone, we apply a formula that is given to us by FHA and HUD to determine how much money they qualify for, and it's very simple and straightforward. Most of the time, in my first conversation with folks, I can qualify them and give them an idea of what we can help with, and then we, if that makes sense, we talk about this in the steps. How do we get started?
How much money could someone receive then?
Well, using this formula, it's part of the determining factor is the age of the customer. The older the customer is, the higher the percentage of their equity that they can have access to. But in round numbers, someone who is approaching 80 would qualify for about 70% of their equity. My own personal record, I helped a woman who was 101 years old get a reverse mortgage, and simply because she got to the point she wanted to stay in her home, remain independent. She needed somebody to come in on a regular basis to help her with some of the things that she wasn't able to do for herself any longer.
Right, and that allows somebody, you know, to be able to stay in their house and not sell it.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times they don't want to do that. So what are some of the other benefits from a reverse mortgage?
Well, you just keyed on the biggest one. It helps the homeowner to stay in their homes. You're keeping in mind senior citizens, they've usually been in their home for a long time, like it, watch the neighborhood grow up, that's where they raise the kids, that kind of thing. Plus the fact that we've all been through a move and it's disrupting, and this is a way to stay in their familiar surroundings. It's a way that they can, if it's necessary, make the home more senior friendly, whether it's putting in ramps or grab bars or things like that, to enable them to stay there in good health, for happily to live there forever after.
That's great. What are some of the tax-free distribution options?
The customer has the option for it, answered by this formula supplied to us by the authorities. First of all, they can take a lump sum, and oftentimes the first thing we do is pay off a significant mortgage balance to eliminate the mortgage payment, and that gives the customer that much more money per month every month that they can spend on other things. They also have the option of taking a monthly check to supplement their retirement, to supplement Social Security or whatever. And more often than not, when I'm helping someone, they qualify for there's usually some particular motivation that's caused them to talk to me. But usually there's more money available than they have a need for. And that money, that we still qualify them for that, and that money goes into a line of credit, which they can access at any time with a phone call, literally. Every month they get a statement that says this is the amount of money, this is the balance, this is the interest that accrued this month, because interest does accrue. It's never paid as long as they remain in the home. And this is the amount of money that's available to you in your line of credit.
That's great. What are some of the costs involved with a reverse mortgage?
Well, there are closing costs, and we operate on full disclosure. The customer has a complete list of them. But most important, there are two costs that come out of pocket. One of them is, in order to make application for a reverse mortgage, a customer has to attend a HUD-approved counseling session to make sure, frankly, to make sure I've done my job, that I've helped them to become educated consumers so that they know what a reverse mortgage is and what it's not. The other cost out of pocket is we have to get an appraisal so we know where we stand. That appraiser is an independent, licensed appraiser, not someone who works for us, And so those two costs have to be paid out of pocket. The other closing costs come out of the proceeds of the loan, and they're on a comparison chart that I supply to the prospective customer.
Well, I'm assuming that a reverse mortgage has to be repaid. How would they go about repaying it?
Okay, good question. Absolutely, it does. A reverse mortgage has to be repaid, but a reverse mortgage is an open-ended note. We tend to think of a 20-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage. A reverse mortgage doesn't have a term. The customer has, as long as they occupy the home as their primary residence and continue to pay the taxes, insurance, and maintain the home, they stay there forever. There is no time limit. As I say, I've had 2 or 3 folks who were into triple digits, and that was what everybody that I've helped, first objective, I want to stay home, and then there were lots of other things. But they stay there as long as they occupy the home as their primary residence. Now, grandparents are snowbirds, they often, that's not a problem. When they're gone for 3 months to spoil the kids, the grandkids, they've arranged for somebody to take care of the newspaper, the grass, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So as long as they continue to occupy the home as their primary residence, it goes on forever.
That's great. You're so knowledgeable. What an expert in the field. I should have asked you in the beginning, what is your background? How did you get to this point?
Well, I have been doing this as a full-time occupation for 17 years. Prior to that, I spent some time serving seniors with some other financial needs. But I did start off, I'm a former Eastern Airlines pilot.
Oh, wow.
I flew 727s for Eastern up until the time that Eastern shut down several of the other airlines, several years ago. It was a different environment. But I did that, loved it, and it was a great life. I flew out of Atlanta, but lived in Denver all of that time. And have a daughter who was born and raised in Colorado, and she's off in Minnesota now. We have 3 grandkids. We get to see them on a regular basis. But I am very fortunate in that this is a service that is really valuable. It provides help to senior citizens to stay in their homes. And you may not have noticed, but I am a senior citizen myself.
You'd never know it.
So that's how I came to do this. And my plans are to, for 5 years I've been saying 2 more years I'm going to retire. But you know what, it's still fun. I still feel like I'm doing some good, so I'll probably keep up for a while longer.
That's great. Mike, if somebody would like to get in touch with you, how would they do so?
Okay, our office is here in downtown Fall Rivers, 57 North Main Street. 2 phone numbers. The office number is 508-646-4351. My cell phone, and because I'm a carpetbagger, I lived across the state line in Rhode Island, but it's a Rhode Island 401 area code, 401-683-8936, and that number you can also text to that number. And I stress to folks that I am local. I didn't just come in on the train from corporate, wherever that is, and I do make house calls.
Wow, that's unusual. Well, if anybody would like to get in touch with Mike, we will flash his information at the end of the show. I like to end the show with 3 questions. So the first question is, tell us a fun fact about you. It can be anything.
Okay. Fun fact, I started off in general aviation. I'm an Air Force veteran. Wow. And also have a general aviation background. I worked my way up through the ranks and was flying 727s for Eastern Airlines, and just absolutely loved it. But times change, circumstances change.
That's so interesting. So another question is, we love pets on this show. Do you have any pets?
Not any longer. All of our married lives, we had Labrador retrievers. And in fact, at one point, when our daughter was young, she thought our Labrador retriever was her sister. But when we moved into a condo, we felt that the dog needed more space, and so we don't currently have a pet.
Well, maybe in the future.
Perhaps.
And then the last question is, it hasn't been that tough of a winter, but people like to go away and maybe go to a tropical destination, or summer is coming. Do you have any travel plans?
Well, we go to Minnesota 2 or 3 times a year because that's where the kids and the grandkids are. But my wife is in Florida right now, spending some time with friends in Fort Lauderdale, and in a couple of weeks I'll be joining them for a week or 2. So I would say wherever we're going to go, it's where it's going to be warmer than what it is in Rhode Island today.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Mike, I just want to thank you again for coming on the show. You have given us so much information. And if you'd like to find out more information, please get in touch with Mike. So thanks again. Thank you for joining us. This has been a great informative show. I hope you enjoyed watching it. And until next time, have a great day.